This lecture will show you several ways to write a literature review. It is vital to write a well-structured literature review. You must contain the information you extract from articles and books in a clear and easy to follow structure. The marker needs to see that you can organize your thoughts in a clear and coherent way. This lecture will cover 4 literature review templates. These templates will not only give you a structure, but they will provide you with a theme. It is vital that your literature review has a central theme. If not, it will seem that your literature review is just a random shopping list of information. A theme makes your literature review coherent and easy to understand. It must be noted that these templates are not the only way to write a literature review, so do not feel that you have to follow every single aspect of these 4 templates. If you wish, you can add or omit aspects of these templates, or you can combine different aspects of these templates, or perhaps you have your own template. I will explain template 1, the building approach, then template 2, the stitching approach, then template 3, the interview approach, and finally template 4, the interrogation approach. The first template is the building approach. The theme of this approach is that you construct a picture of the main books and main articles that discuss your dissertation topic. You need to show the marker that you are aware of which books and articles came before your dissertation. Not every single book, not every single article, only the main books and articles in the same topic area of your dissertation. Then you show how your dissertation sits on top of the main books and main articles in that topic area. Your dissertation builds on what came before. Your dissertation is the cherry on top. For example, you discuss the foundational text in this topic area. The foundational texts are the early and influential books and articles. You will know the foundational texts because they are the texts that are cited often by the more modern texts. Perhaps just 2 or 3 foundational texts will be relevant to your dissertation topic. Then build on this with more recent texts. Then build on this with more recent texts. Then build on this with more recent texts. Then finally, your dissertation is the final brick on top. Your dissertation is the culmination of everything that came before. You have now constructed a picture of your dissertation's topic area. So who is this structure for? This structure is for everyone who is writing a dissertation that is mainly focused on a specific topic. You are not focusing on one particular theory or one particular model. You just want to explore a specific topic area, like women in the UK advertising industry, or African startup companies in the tech industry, or neurodiverse coaches that work in the corporate sector. So you will use the building approach to construct a history of what has been written about your dissertation's topic area. This is the most popular template. Maybe 90% of students will adopt this approach. 3.0 Introduction. You will need to start the literature review chapter with a very small introduction. Every literature review needs a purpose, so you should explain that the purpose of this chapter is to review the literature in your chosen topic area in order to situate your research. Then provide a brief overview of the areas that your literature review will cover. In the next section, 3.1, you will provide an overview of the main texts of that topic area. If you can, only if you can, do this in chronological order. This will make your literature review easier to follow. It is essential just to show the highlights. Not every single text, just the main and prominent text. For example, if your dissertation topic is female mentors in the IT industry, you will discuss the most prominent texts that discuss female mentors in the IT industry. You may also discuss the main ideas, the main theories, the main models of female mentors working in the IT industry. Also, any contextual factors or real-life events that may have impacted the literature. For example, what was COVID-19 or working from home's impact on the literature of female mentors working in the IT industry? The next section is 3.2, Limitations of the literature. In this section, you will state the limitations that you found in the articles and books that you read. This section is important because it legitimizes your dissertation. By you showing the limitations in the literature, you are indirectly providing a rationale for your dissertation. If there were no limitations, then there will be no need for your dissertation. There is no need to put your dissertation on top of what came before, if what came before had no limitations. So in this section, you need to state the limitations or the criticisms or the problems or the gaps that you found in the books and articles that you read. As well as stating the limitations in individual books and articles, you should state the limitations of the entire body of literature. Imagine that all the books and articles that discuss the topic of your dissertation are one body, a body of work. You put all the books and articles that touch on your topic into one bucket. This is a skill of a critical thinker, that you are able to see individual books and individual articles as one body of literature. All of the books and articles that provided you with information, you should see them as one body. So identify any limitations or needed improvements in this one body. The following section, 3.3, building on the literature. In this section, you will situate your dissertation on top of the existing literature. You are standing on the shoulders of those that came before you. You are carrying the baton. Explain how your dissertation will enhance the body of literature. Or maybe your dissertation will take the body of literature in a different direction. Or maybe your dissertation will expand the current body of literature. Or maybe your dissertation will focus more on a particular issue. 3.4, conclusion. In the concluding paragraph, summarize the key points of your chapter and escort the reader to the next chapter. Template 2 is the stitching approach. The theme for this approach is that you stitch two or more subject areas together. You bring two or more topics together that are generally not found in the literature together. So you are the one that must do the stitching, because there are no or very few articles and books that discuss these two or more topics together. These two or more topics are generally discussed individually, but not together. So you have to bring these two topics together. For example, you may want to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on the needs of neurodiverse workers, and you find that there are many books and many articles that discuss the impact of COVID-19, and there are many books and many articles that discuss the needs of neurodiverse workers, but you cannot find any articles or books that explicitly discuss both these areas together. So your literature review needs to stitch together the information that you found on the impact of COVID-19 with the information that you found on the needs of neurodiverse workers. You will need to start the literature review chapter with a very small introduction. So you should explain that the purpose of this chapter is to bring two or more of your chosen topics together. Then provide a brief overview of the areas that your literature review will cover. In the next section, 3.1, the subheading will be the name of the topic area that your dissertation focuses on. Perhaps an overview of the topic. Imagine the person reading your work has no idea about this topic. Also try to critique books and articles in this topic area. In the next section, 3.2, bridging the gap. This is where the stitching takes place. Justify the need to stitch another topic area onto the topic area that you discussed in 3.1. You may mention that the literature in the topic area that you discussed in 3.1 is too limited or it's too narrow, so it needs to be complemented with another topic area. It needs to be enhanced with another topic area. Essentially, this section sets up the introduction of a second topic area in 3.3. In 3.3, the subheading will be the name of the second topic area that your dissertation focuses on. Provide an overview of that topic area and try to critique books and articles in that topic area. In the next section, 3.4, bring all this together. Provide an overview of what the stitching of two subject areas look like. You need to show the finished product, perhaps a graphical representation of the stitching, or just a written explanation of what has been achieved from your bringing together of these two topic areas. You should also tie up any loose ends in this section, then end with a conclusion. Summarize the key points of your chapter and escort the reader to the next chapter. The third template is the interrogation approach. The theme of this approach is to interrogate the suitability of one theory or one model or one framework or one concept. Imagine you are this person. You are the interrogator. You wish to interrogate one specific theory or one specific model or one specific framework to see if it is suitable to analyze your data. This approach is only for students that will primarily use one concept or one framework or one theory or one model to analyze a practice or analyze a sector or analyze a target group or analyze behavior. They may have made up their minds to mostly use this one concept, theory, model or framework. This theory, model, concept or framework will form part of their central research aim. Here are some examples. They may mention and engage with other concepts and theories here and there, but they are married to one. 60 to 70% of their dissertation engages with just one. So for example, they may want to look at recruitment practices of US banks. So their dissertation uses the sector bias theory to analyze perceptions of recruiters in US banks, or the POC model for understanding the problems of recruitment practices in US banks, or using a critical feminist lens to look at gender disparity in recruitment practices of US banks. So even though all three of these parties are looking at the same recruitment practices of US banks, because of the models they are using, they are focusing on different aspects. This is what it looks like in writing. 3.0, introduction. Start with a small introduction stating the purpose of the chapter is to review the literature on your chosen framework, model, or theory in order to analyze a practice, a sector, behavior, or a target group. Then provide an overview of the areas that you will cover in this chapter. 3.1, provide an overview of the framework, theory, theory, concept, or model. Then in 3.2, state the benefits of using this approach. State the advantages of using this approach. State the justification or the rationale for using this approach. Mention all the positives, all the good stuff. Then 3.3, state the limitations of the theory, model, framework, or concept. What are the disadvantages? What are the criticisms? Do not be too negative in this section, because if you are too negative, the marker may question, why did you select this model? Why did you select this theory? Why did you select this concept? The only reason to mention the negatives is to show that all theories and models are not perfect. Then 3.4, mention studies that utilize the theory, model, or framework or concept. In this section, mention studies that use this concept or theory or model to observe a similar situation to your research focus. So maybe your dissertation is using critical race theory to look at the recruitment process. Are there any other studies that use critical race theory to look at recruitment processes? How is this theory or model used in these other studies? Are these other studies adequate? Are these other studies inadequate? What do you need to add on to these other studies? Or what do you need to avoid that you've seen done in these other studies? Then 3.5, describe how your dissertation will utilize your chosen theory, model, framework, or concept. Be very explicit. How will you use it? In what manner? In what way? Then 3.6, adaptation of your theory, model, framework, or concept. As we said, models, theories, and concepts are not perfect, so you need to show criticality by adapting, slightly changing, and tweaking your chosen model, theory, or concept to suit your specific needs. This is not one size fits all. Your scenario is unique, and your research is unique, so it demands that you edit, adapt, and tweak some aspects of the model, theory, and concept, and explain your rationale for doing this. Then end with the conclusion that summarizes your main points and escorts the reader to the next chapter. The last template is the interview approach. The theme of this approach is that you interview 2 or more frameworks or models or theories or concepts to determine their suitability to use for your dissertation. This template is for whoever wants to use a model, theory, concept, or framework to analyze their data, but they do not know which model, theory, or framework to use. Reading the literature, they find that there are 2, 3, 4, or 5 different frameworks to use. They are spoiled for choice, so they conduct a literature review to assess which one is best for them. They interview several candidates for this one position. In this scenario, they want a framework, model, theory, or concept to understand and frame the data that they will get from their surveys. So they assess Ryan Estes and Cable's 2003 model for future recruitment. Then they assess Sachs' dual stage recruitment model. Then they assess Stark's organizational recruitment model. Then at the end of the process, they decide which of these 3 models is best suited for the needs of their dissertation. This is what it looks like in writing. They start with a small introduction stating that their purpose of assessing a variety of frameworks is to assess which framework is best suited for their dissertation. Then they provide an overview of the areas that they will cover in their literature review. Then provide an overview of the framework, theory, concept, or model. Then you assess the usefulness of the framework, theory, concept, or model. What are the positives? What are the advantages? Do not discuss the usefulness abstractly or generally. Instead, focus on its usability in the topic area of your dissertation. Then mention the criticisms of this framework, theory, concept, or model. What are the negatives? What are the disadvantages? Try to relate the critique to the topic area of your dissertation. Then make a judgment. Is it suitable? Yes or no? If yes, briefly explain why. If no, briefly explain why. Then repeat this process with the second framework, model, theory, or concept. Then repeat this process with the third framework, model, theory, or concept. In your conclusion, summarize the reasons for selecting a framework, model, theory, or concept and escort the reader to the next chapter. Thank you for listening. Which template will you choose?